Happy full moon, everyone. So we'll dive right into this information. I haven't been on here for a while just because I have been recovering and not really been able to sit for very long. So I haven't done this for a little while, so you'll have to bear with me. I do have my notes. I have all my things, so hopefully this goes well. So our full moon is on October 31st, which is exciting because that is on Halloween. And also, marks the beginning, after Halloween, marks the beginning of the Samhain part of the year that signifies the end of the harvest season and the start to winter. So we have a lot of things going on all at one time during this full moon. This is referred to as the hunter moon. So Native American belief system, I believe, is where that one is pulled from. And it mainly is just that the moon was really bright and they could hunt at night, particularly, I believe, for deer during this time of year because of that full moon. So also, aside from all of those great things, we also have a blue moon. So we've been over this before if you followed me for very long. And the blue moon is just that there were 2 full moons in the month of October. So this does happen a little bit more often than what you would think, but it still is not very often, hence the term once in a blue moon. So the last full moon was on October 1st, and this one will occur on the 31st. So you kind of need it to fall almost exactly like that to get your 2 full moons in one month. This is also our, in Ayurveda, it's called the Vata season. So I'll do a separate video. I have intentions of doing videos anyways on the dosha seasons for us to kind of understand energetically what's going on. I'm going to change that lighting just a little bit. I don't know which one's better. We'll stick with that. So we're transitioning into that season where we are really preparing for the cold weather, gathering, all these types of things that we all experience regardless of whether we believe in things or not. We kind of get prepared for winter mentally, physically, emotionally. We kind of stockpile food a little bit more than normal, just because of harvest seasons and stuff like that. So we're in that transition period. So all of these things are going on right now. Our full moon is in Taurus. I'm a Taurus, so I have noticed in years of working with this that when your sun sign and moon sign kind of work together, I guess. But Taurus is all about luxury, giving, nurturing, extremely loyal, all those great qualities. But then we also have the element energetically of overthinking, over-evaluating, being stubborn or stuck in our ways, and very resistant to change. So the energy that this full moon is bringing with it is all these great things like luxury, nurturing, care, all of those great things. But then along with that, we have the shadowy side of Taurus where we might feel like we're resistant, like we're just trying to walk through the mud kind of feeling. So that is where a full moon is in Taurus. And anyone who is interested in, more interested in zodiac and particularly astrology and astrological occurrences, there's a lot of other things going on, but I just like to touch on these. The opposition of the sun and moon is my main focus and goal. So we have that element. Now the sun is in Scorpio. So Scorpios are very resourceful, unafraid, and most specifically, they expect change. So you can see that opposition already. The sun and moon, whenever the moon is full, the sun and the moon are directly opposing each other. So even on an energetic level with these zodiac signs, you see that Taurus is very resistant to change. They like solid, grounded, very earth-like energies, they just like to be unchanging. Whereas Scorpio expects change. They're emotionally intelligent, passionate, secretive, and resentful. So that's another little thing to keep your eye out for, is you may be more prone to wanting to keep things to yourself. And I've noticed in my own life in the last, probably 2 weeks, which is normally what you really feel from 2 weeks prior. You'll really feel this energy from this point. So today's Thursday, the full moon is on Saturday. It's like 2 or 3 days before, 2 or 3 days after, this energy is going to magnify significantly. So even in the last 2 weeks in our previous, moon cycle, I could really feel that almost just like not wanting to be open, not necessarily secretive, like I wasn't like keeping secrets, but like not wanting to divulge information, just like kind of keep things to myself. So I did experience that specifically. In the passionate piece from Scorpio, I always like the sun energies because it's what like fires us up, that's what's making us go right now. And that passionate piece is, I feel like a lot of us are focusing on our passions. Like even if you're not consciously focusing on them, subconsciously, your passions are coming up for you, being delivered to you by the universe, like without even thinking about it. So thanks to that sun energy right now, that's where that's all coming from. And the emotional intelligence piece kind of plays into that, I think, as far as the Scorpio is concerned. And even that passionate, being, in your passion and in that kind of thing, I really feel like these two, the Scorpio and the Taurus, those two energies being with us right now as we move into our like autumn state, even the Vata season and things like that. These are energies that we really need with us. So that is the energy of the moon is in Taurus. The energy of the sun is in Scorpio. So we have the Scorpio sun and the Taurus moon. We understand those. The interesting thing about this particular moon opposed to in April, whenever we had a supermoon, I'm sorry, I have my tea here. I'm going to take a drink. We had a supermoon in April, super full moon. And that is whenever the sun is closest to the earth. The other side of the spectrum, here we are in October, the very end of October. We are having, some people call them like a mini moon or a micro moon, but the moon is the furthest away from the earth right now. So on Halloween night, if you happen to see the full moon, it's not cloudy, fingers crossed, we'll be able to see it. It will be substantially smaller than normal. So, well, I shouldn't say normal, than, opposed to our supermoon in April. It's been slowly getting further away. So I thought that was just like a little interesting tidbit there. So the biggest energy I think that has come through for me as far as just trying to feel into this season with my intuition is change is imminent. There is nothing that we can do about change. It will always be a part of our lives, and no matter how stable, comfortable, or in that realm of homeostasis, something is always bound to change. So a really good mantra that you can use for this, and I got this from a book that was called The Autobiography of a Yogi, and Yogananda. Anyways, the book is called The Autobiography of a Yogi, and they use the mantra, reveal thyself, reveal thyself. So I had practiced this for a long time as far as this mantra is concerned, and I'm like, I didn't know if I was asking myself to be revealed, to reveal my own self. I didn't know if this was a prayer or a plea. Like, I wasn't exactly sure. And I did a little bit deeper research on this because this is the mantra that came up for me as far as change is imminent and where we are energetically. And some of the things that I found was call to the cosmic mother as her child, or a call to the divine. And again, the divine can be God, it can be universal intelligence, like whatever, thought process that you use, whenever you think of the divine or the supreme, whatever you want to call it. But I really loved for this full moon purpose is call to the cosmic mother as her child. So I thought both of those were interesting, but you can use this any way that you would like. Again, you just repeat the phrase, reveal thyself, reveal thyself. I kind of feel like this season is making us see ourselves, our authentic selves, as who we are, and those veils and those blankets, walls, fences, whatever you want to call them, that we've put up is being shaken, it's being thinned, it's not as strong as what we would like it to be, because who we really truly are is pouring through the cracks. Any little tiny holes in those, shades that we've created, it's pouring out, and we have no choice but to be authentic, be who we are. I remember in a lot of different situations as a younger person, as a child, really, you do all kinds of stuff. You have to go to, visit the elderly in their homes and things like that. And you always go in and you're just quiet and you let them talk. And, you're a kid and you're like super rambunctious, and your mom's going to kill you if you make more noise than what, is like that much. Or you go to church, or, these various different things. You go into a library or museum and you're like resisting who you are in order to force yourself into that situation. You know what I mean? Like to be who you're supposed to be in that time. So that's what I always think about being inauthentic. And, in that particular case, like, we didn't have any choice. Like, you're subject to your environment, but it's that same energy of wanting to be someone, or wanting to sound a certain way, or do something a certain way, and you literally cannot do it because your surrounding doesn't allow you. And in this case, I feel like we create that surrounding that doesn't allow us to be exactly who we want to be. It doesn't allow us to be our authentic self and be outspoken about that, because I also think that with all these veils and boxes and, everything we put around ourselves, that, we're not outspoken about it. It's like, what do you believe? And I feel like in our society and most of our environments that, like, your beliefs are to be held and not shared. And if you are one of those people who share your beliefs, you are then judged and categorized by everyone around you. So it's very discouraging to be vocal about your beliefs and how you feel about things. And I don't mean just religion and politics. I mean, in general, you know what I mean? Like, just in general, people, you just keep your opinions to yourself, And as far as being able to communicate who we are and, really work on that throat chakra and opening it up and allowing our creative expression to come out, I feel like most of us have lived a life of that being stifled constantly because of our environments, whether it be your home, activities, your work, your job. I know a lot of us have jobs, that we go to, and you just have to like put your head down and don't say anything, or agree with whatever your boss is telling you, like no talking back. You know what I mean? That's another thing, like with growing up, like don't talk back, don't state your opinion. You know what I mean? So really keep an eye on that. We want to be able to be ourselves and be our true authentic selves, and start practicing that as much as you can today. And I think you'll see a major change in the way you look at yourself. As far as self-love is concerned, the more that we embody who we are, that embodiment practice really changes the way you feel about yourself. It increases your confidence, increases your courage, all these things that we all want, right? So the mantra reveal thyself is what I recommend as far as, mantra work. And or mantras. I've heard that said two different ways, mantra or mantra. I've always said mantra, but I'm also not like, an expert on how to pronounce things. So, whatever you want to call it, your affirmation, I'll go with that. That's an American word an English word that I understand a little bit better. So the veil is thinning, and this ties into what I was just saying about ourselves. But the veil is thinning between the spirit world and the physical world. And that's always been, kind of one of those esoteric things that people celebrate on Halloween or for Samhain. But it is, regardless, this time of year, as we start to introvert, as we start to settle down, quiet down, slow down, it is a really good time to get quiet and listen to your inner voice. And in meditation, or even just like those quiet mornings, I always think about like those really quiet nights or really quiet mornings whenever snow has covered the ground and everything is so still and so silent, and especially at night whenever the snow is falling and it looks like it's not even real, like those types of things. We're really preparing for that season. So as we get into this quieter space with this veil thinning, think about just like how we're passing, you know what I mean? So whether you believe in angels, God, your spirit guides, your animal guides, like whatever it is in the more so spiritual realm that you would like to connect deeper to, this is a wonderful time to embark on that journey, contacting your guides, your ancestors, angels. And really at this point in time, with this moon energy and everything that's going on, expect dreams, visions, and messages just randomly. Like, keep your mind open, keep your eye open to those types of things. And most importantly, revelations. And I think on my spiritual journey and my journey to, awakening or whatever you want to call it, those revelations are the most powerful things that happen. And sometimes they happen and you're like, oh my God, I have to write this down. I finally understand. Like, I understand this about me. I understand this about life. I understand this about the universe. It's always like these mind blown situations. And then in an instant, it's gone. You couldn't even retell what happened because it was only meant for that moment. And sometimes it's super frustrating because you're like, I want to remember that. But it really was just for your subconscious and your conscious mind to come together and say, we understand this, and you can go forward. But the revelations that you get that are so big and so strong that you literally have to write them down, like journal it, put it somewhere, that tell someone, like, I just realized something that I've not realized my entire life, and it's just like mind blowing. So expect those types of things during this season. I think these little messages are going to be around all corners. In dreams, I feel like I have not slept well at all. And some full moons this happens for me, and some of them they don't. But I dream constantly and wake up constantly, but I really couldn't tell you what those dreams were. And some of them feel like I've solved world problems, like within my mind, within the dream. And then some of them are really stressful. Like, why did I dream about that? Like, life is stressful enough. I don't need dreams on top of that. That's just stressing me the hell out. But I have not slept well either way. So be mindful of that, and be very gentle with yourself. If you're not sleeping right now because of the full moon energy, or, maybe it's something else for you, it's totally fine. But in this case, if it's the full moon that's really just pulling on your soul and not allowing you to rest, be very gentle with yourself and allow yourself that time and space to recover. And what do people call that? Like full moon flu or full moon sickness. You really can have a lot of negative side effects. And I shouldn't even say negative, but hard side effects from the moon, as far as being feeling really worn down, or you feel really tired or exhausted, and that feeling, like I said before, of just walking through sludge. It's every day is so hard. And I've had a few people that I've talked to that's I'd have 3 cups of coffee this morning because I just can't find the motivation to do shit, and it's totally understandable. This is that time. So rest is imperative. Self-care is imperative, as always. And we're constantly keeping our eyes open during this season for our deep emotional insights, or what some people call your awakening process. And those revelations all go into that same category. So this time, again, we've already talked about preparing, storing up, slowing down. So this time of year is just slowly starting to decrease. We have all that energy in spring, and we're going to get stuff done, we're going to do things. And then the summer, the fiery summer, we all love to get out and enjoy the weather. If you don't like hot weather, that's fine, but I'm sure you enjoy fires or something. And this time of year, it just, especially here where we live at, in the northern part of the United States, northeastern part of the United States, is it gets cold fast. And it'll get cold in a snap, and then we might have a hot day here and there. But it's such a hard time of year to just it feels like you're just squeaking by, the rusty wheel is turning as we slowly get into this season. But, really just focus on yourself, focus on replenishing yourself, your home, really creating that comfortable realm for yourself, for your mind, for your body, all of those types of things. And release. Release is a big thing that always comes up with the full moons. but releasing attachment specifically. And I feel like 2020 has been a giant, like, I hate to use the term lesson, but has been a giant eye-opener of how much that we actually do grasp and hold on to in our lives. And that's a Buddhist belief, to release attachment. It's very grounded in like desires, attachments, reaching, grasping for things, how it diminishes happiness. So really, with that releasing attachments, whenever we get overly attached to things, people's, places, environments, whenever we get so attached to them, we actually are opening ourselves up to a world of hurt or unhappiness. So that's one way to look at that, is just releasing that general grasp, that attachment that we have to things. And a lot of us have had to just deal with that because we can't go to work, or, you know, your job shut down, or, you know, your kids are home and you like love that time whenever they weren't home. Like, I'm feeling that, you know, like stepping out and deciding to homeschool my children was a big step for me. You know, it's just a lot attached to that, again, with those attachments. But just watch for that. Watch for the things that you're so overly attached to, and know that you grasp and hold on to them because you are fearful of losing that. Whatever it is that you're grasping onto, what you really are holding on to is the fear of loss. So if that was taken from you, you would feel that gap and void of loss. So kind of watch out for those things. But on a more deeper emotional level, releasing control. Release control. Like, I have a lot of this, and I've had to really learn a lot. I had this major hip surgery done, and couldn't really do a whole lot of anything. I shouldn't have done anything. You know, I'm not one of those people to just sit and not do anything. But it was very hard for me to have to ask for help, to have to ask someone to do something for me, and not something, everything, all of it. You know, if the floor is dirty, I can't clean it. Someone has to do it, and I have to ask them to do it because I can't control this environment. I can't control this situation with my actions. Like, I can't do it. So it was a huge eye-opener. But that's an extreme case. If we don't have to have any major surgeries or be like tied to your bed for a while, just release that control. And anywhere you can in your life where you feel like you're micromanaging your time, your positions, your, you know what I mean, your family, your home, like, is there anywhere that you're just like so hard with control that it almost makes you unhappy? And it's hard to have conversations with people whenever they're talking and that's what they're saying over and over again, is that they can't release control. I can't release control. I can't release control. And it was never really their position to control something to begin with. You know, like, very rarely are we in a position that we control everything and all outcomes. Even, you know, the president, a lot of people are like, you know, the president is responsible. It's like, well, the president has a lot to do with a lot of things, but as far as having complete control over something, very, very rarely does anyone ever have complete control. So keep that in mind. You don't have to micromanage everything, and you don't have to control it. And if you find yourself obsessing about things, thoughts, situations, people, and it, like, in a controlling way, like, if I do this, maybe I can do that, maybe I can change this, maybe I can move that, you know what I mean? If you're doing that, just be aware that releasing attachment, releasing control, use the energy of the full moon, even ask the energy of the moon to help you let go of those types of control and attachment that you have in your life, that you almost, you know, drive yourself into the dirt just trying to make everything happen or make everything right, or, you know, whatever it might be for you. So whatever we're grasping, whatever we're trying to control, and whatever we're holding on to, allow the full moon energy to let you release and let go. Try and find that harmonious happiness, that balance, you know, that we're always talking about, that duality, the balance between the sun and the moon, the balance between these energies, the balance between the new moon, the full moon, all those types of things. So I have I guess I have four little things, like 4 little side notes that I made for today. As far as just my research and everything that I've been doing for this, I will take a drink real quick before I do that. Evaluate your thoughts. Number 1, Even if you only do this over the next, 4 or 5 days, evaluate your thoughts. Evaluate your self-worth. Really make a scale. See it on that scale. And I had someone challenge me a little bit in this group that I'm a part of, and they said, would you date yourself? And I was like, yeah, I would date myself. I mean, I think I'm interesting enough, and, I'm very loyal. I love hard, you know what I mean? Like all these great things. I was like, I think I would date myself. And then they said, why? And then I had to list out these things of like, yeah, this is why I would date myself. But it was interesting because if you would have asked me that 10 years ago, I probably would have said no. And if I did say yes, I wouldn't have a reason as to why. And that's due to the amount of self-work and that self-worth piece that I have worked on for a very long time. So ask yourself that. Would you date yourself? And, even like I said, rate yourself on a scale of your self-worth. How valuable are you? Where do you value yourself? What are your strong points? Why do you value yourself that well? Look out for your limiting beliefs. Whenever you find yourself saying, it won't, it can't, I can't, it will never, those are all things that are very limiting. And those are easy to start out like, I can't do that. I can't have this. It will never change. Those are all limiting beliefs. Even a little bit deeper than that, like where you have made in your own mind like certain stereotypes or expectations to whether it's society or a person or your home, like where you just have like this boxed in mentality. Always keep an open mind and watch for whenever you are really projecting out your limitations, not your capabilities. Destructive habits and behaviors is a big one. And what was it that I was reading just a little bit ago? I pulled a card from like a goddess deck, from like an oracle deck, and it was Sekhmet. Is that how you say that? Sekhmet. Yeah, I was right. I was like, I want to make sure I'm saying this right so that it doesn't sound ridiculous. But the little caption on this card, I'll hold this up. Maybe you can see it. There, maybe there. So the little caption, it says, be strong. I pulled this earlier today, just for this full moon specifically. It says, you are stronger than you think you are, and your strength assures a happy outcome. So I like that. But those destructive habits is where that like happiness and strength came in. And I'm like one of the worst people for this. It's like, you're doing well, you're doing really good, you're getting it all done, and like, yay. And then you do something really freaking stupid, like really stupid. Like you negated all of your progress in one like swift movement. You just like killed an idea, And that is that destructive behavior and those destructive habits of like, for example, not going to bed at night. We all have our reasons. Believe me, I've heard them all. Like, I'm not tired. I'm a night owl. I just can't sleep at night. Whatever it is. But every single time that someone says that, I know that they are slow to wake up. They drag ass out of bed. They don't really do any motivational success type things in the mornings. They drag into their lunch hour. You know what I mean? Like, I just know that because they're not well rested and they stay up, and everyone has their reasons. The house is quiet. There's no one asking you questions. Like, you can finally find some peace in silence. Like, totally understand all of that. I totally get it. But those are destructive habits. They're bad habits because then, I've worked second shift, whenever I was younger, particularly, I worked second shifts for a long time. And it always started out like, you go to bed at 1 because you don't get off work till 11 and then you're kind of tired. But as you do it over time, you're going to bed at like 6 o'clock in the morning. It's just the way it is because that's just what happens eventually, So watch out for those destructive habits. Watch out for those things that we're doing that are just like sabotaging. Like we're so happy and we're doing so good. And then you make a decision that throws you off that path. So in finding that happiness and finding that balance, make sure that we're not destroying all of our successful, leaps and bounds that we've made forward. So that's all I had. Those were my points, and this is the information about the full moon and the sun, the duality that we're experiencing energetically right now. I hope that everyone has a happy Halloween. However you celebrate that, whether it's through Samhain, like hopefully we are all ready to move into this winter season and finish up all of our harvests and all that. I have to clean all of my gardens out, and I have not really been able to get outside. So I don't know how that's going to end. Maybe I'll be doing that in the spring. But I'm so glad that you all were here. For those of you who stayed and listened, I appreciate you. I love you so much. And I will see you next time. Happy full moon.